Hey, Stephen Young here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1967 Fury 3. Now you got to remember that Plymouth Fury arrived in 1956 as a two-door hardtop muscle car, 240 horsepower, no wagons, no convertibles, no four-doors. It was a muscle car, Plymouth's first self-aware high-performance car. But by 1967, the Fury line had pretty much expanded to almost any body style you might want. Of course, you got to remember there's the Fury 1, Fury 2, Fury 3, Sport Fury, VIP, but this one here is kind of right in the middle of the Fury 3, and details on this is the horizontal chrome, bits of it still here, and a better interior. But again, this car could be had with a slant 6 engine. This one here, there is no engine. We'll learn more about that in a moment. But again, these two doors were fairly popular. Of the 160,078 Fury 3s built in 67, about a quarter, or 37,448, were two-door hardtops like this one here. Now under the hood on this, we don't have an engine, but again, we do see some unusual stuff, a little bit austere. 1967, first year for the dual circuit manual brakes, no power brakes on this one, kind of a stripper. And speaking of stripper, manual steering, no power steering on this one. No air conditioning, just a heater. Now, if you were a kid back in 1967 building model cars, you might have had one of these. This is Johan's 67 Plymouth Fury convertible or stock customizing kit, customer stock. And one thing on this is they show the engine, the 426 Hemi with fuel injection, and you got to say, well, that's got to be the optional engine, right? You know, the Fury doesn't have a Hemi, or does it? Well, here's the instructions on this thing. Again, they show build it any way you want, including stock, and the engine choices for this thing, ironically, include, bear with me on the top. Look at that. That's the 426 Hemi. And as we move your way down, on the right is the single 4-barrel, quote, stock version, and on the left is the AFX drag or custom. Well, guess what? The 426 Hemi was never offered in a full-size C-body like this. So Johan was either playing fast and loose with reality or playing fast and loose with reality. In fact, there were some Chrysler 300s, a thing called a 300M in 1966 that was proposed as having a Hemi engine. But again, the Fury full-size cars, these were never considered to have a Hemi engine from the factory, although some NASCAR race cars did come out with Hemis, but they weren't factory made. Now this does, of course, have drum brakes up front, big 11-inch drums behind these 15-inch wheels. This would have had 14s from the factory, but these are some pickup truck wheels that have been added to this one somewhere along the line. And one thing about this too is we can kind of learn. We can't get to the VIN because that door won't open. And 1967 was the final year for the VIN on the door pillar on the driver's side. 68, it was up here where you could see it. But on this one, the door don't open, so we can't see it. Or can we? Well, here's a trick, a little pro tip from the junkyard. If you're in the junkyard in Massachusetts and certain other states, the VIN is on the inspection sticker. So there we have right there. And that reads out P for Fury, M, Fury 3, 23, two-door hardtop, F, 318, small block, and of course 7 is the 1967 model year. But that F tells us this was, yeah, the 318. You could get a slant 6 in this thing for $105 credit, but again, for 67, the 318 went from polyspherical heads to wedge-type LA heads, and was a decent little engine, 230 horsepower in one of these things. Now inside this one, we can see the bench seat, the column shifted automatic, and you know, a fairly plush interior. Again, the Fury 3 had more glitz on the door panels, and we see the again, the column shifted automatic. And kind of a cool little touch on, I think all Furies, was this deal right here. The wind wings were crank type. Now this one, yeah, it's got car arthritis, but that's kind of a cool touch. It was actually automated. Turn this thing, it would move like that. Here are the wheel covers here. Full wheel covers on the Fury 3. And if you didn't know, Plymouth, of course, named after, to some degree, the Plymouth Rock, the Puritans, the Pilgrims, and that's a sailing ship coming at you from the front. At least that's how most people interpret it. So that's the Plymouth logo right there, based on the Plymouth nameplate from 1928 onward. But here's something kind of cool. Now, you guys might know me from my work at Barrett-Jackson. For the last 19 years, I've been one of the onstage commentators, and Mike Joy is my esteemed co-host at Barrett-Jackson, and he handed this to me. This is He gave this to me in 2014 at the Palm Beach, Florida show. You can see a Chrysler Plymouth, West Hartford Incorporated, Connecticut, right there. That's where this thing was from. Well, in 1967, Mike Joy and his father went into this dealership, and this very sheet right here, Mike wrote these notes. Dad was looking for a GTX, and Mike spec'd out power steering, console, underhood pad, I guess, pause attraction. And Mike Joy wrote these words as probably, I don't know, a 15-year-old kid. I hear his father, I think, actually bought either a Cadillac or a GTO, I don't remember which one, but this brochure right here was in Mike Joy's hands in 1967. He handed it to me back in 2014. Kind of a cool thing. But getting back to this is the full-size Fury 3 hardtop, 4-door. Again, no pillars on this one. And if we look in this catalog here, let's go back to the trunk to really soak it in. And here's a nice book right here that we'll ignore this one. This is probably my old Latin book right here, maybe my math textbook, but anyway. But here we have the Fury, and we'll go in this thing here. We can see the lineup of the Plymouth vehicles. Here it is right here, the Fury. This is the VIP. We did a video on a VIP actually in the Junkyard Crawl, but something new for 1967 was this beautiful fastback, but only on the VIP and the Sport Fury, not on the Fury 3, Fury 2, or Fury 1, that fastback. Again, looking at this one here, we can see this is a more formal roofline on this one, not the fastback, so this sort of delta shape right here. Now the rear axle is gone on this one, but it would have had the 8 3/4, the only rear axle available in these things. A tough piece, no problem. 11-inch drum brakes all the way around, unless the optional disc brakes up front were ordered. But again, a great example of full-size 2-door hardtop styling. And again, the Plymouth Fury 2-doors were available well into the 1970s. And this is kind of the days when full-sized passenger cars rode 17 feet long to move 4 people, maybe 5 people down the road in style. But if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel and hit the like button, and of course ring the bell so you're made aware of the next video when it comes out, which is tomorrow morning. And also remember too, there is something like 400 Junkyard Crawl videos you can binge on right now. Just go to the channel playlist and look for them and binge away. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow morning.